Hello, I'm Mark Chapman. Before you get stuck into this podcast, I want to tell you about the Daily Euros. The Football Daily podcast is changing as we turn our full attention to the international stage. It'll be your daily dose of Euros analysis, debate and news as we bring you all the action with some of the biggest names in the game. We'll have reporters inside all the home nations' camps, bringing you interviews with the players, coaches and managers throughout the tournament. So join us and get ready for the Euros like no other on the Daily Euros. Listen on BBC Sounds. Now, back to your podcast.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi, Gary here. Just a reminder that the Match of the Day Top 10 podcast is a bit different from what you're used to seeing from us on TV, and there may occasionally be some colourful language, particularly from the Geordie contingent. Thanks for listening. It all began back in 1960 as a tournament that England, Germany and Italy declined to even enter. 61 years later, the Euros is 24 teams and over the years has provided hundreds of memorable moments. Alan and Micah are with me to discuss memorable moments of the Euros. Now, just to be clear, this isn't the greatest moments ever, as we've covered a lot of those in other episodes, but just things that have been notable over the years, and hopefully we'll have some good fun discussing and coming up with our top 10s. But you can always have your say using the hashtag MOTD Top 10. Let's start by having a look at the list and let's get cracking. So we've got still emulated today with varying degrees of success, as Sergio Aguero found recently. It's Antonin Panenka's penalty in 1976. I think we've discussed that a few times now. In 1984, Michel Platini's winning goal for France in the semi-final against Portugal. Arguably the greatest game in Euros history, and certainly one of the greatest bits of commentary from John Motson. I'm not sure how this sneaked in. A certain Gary Lineker being subbed by Graham Taylor at Euro 92. Obviously, Alan, you must have come up with this shortlist. We've got Denmark winning Euro 92, coming in as late replacements for Yugoslavia. First of three entries from Euro 96. It's the dentist chair celebration after Paul Gascoigne's goal against Scotland. We've got England demolishing the Netherlands at Wembley, and Gazza's agonising miss, and Gareth Southgate's missed penalty in the semi-final against Germany. In 2000, David Trezeguet's golden goal for France to win the final against Italy. Wayne Rooney bursting onto the scene in 2004, only to get injured. The days when everyone was an expert on the metatarsal. And finally, Wales getting to the semi-finals of Euro 2016. Some magical moments in there, and some we've obviously discussed in previous podcast episodes, but Micah, start with your 10 to 6, please. Time-honoured tradition.
I wanted to put you a lot higher, but I've gone Lineker sub 10.
Thank you. I appreciate
Which we'll
that.
get into that later,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah. How do you spell Lineker? That's it. 9.
Rooney 2004.
Oh, Rooney. Yeah.
Trezeguet golden goal.
Yeah.
England 4-1 against Holland. And Platini versus Portugal.
Alan.
I've gone England semi v Germany 96.
Yeah,
Don't want to remember that for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. I've gone Lineker snubbed and subbed.
Snubbed and subbed.
Against Sweden.
Rubber-dub-dub.
Trezeguet golden goal.
Yeah.
The Panenka, number 7. Yeah. And Wales reaching the semis.
Wales.
At 6.
All right, let's get me out of the way. Let's get it over with.
Should have happened a lot earlier.
The substitution?
Yeah, you should have had me on. You shouldn't even have started, really.
Yeah.
I was shouting down the touchline to get me on, but he put the wrong Alan on. He put Alan Smith on instead of me, so we might have won the game.
Were you shouting? Were you giving that thing on the bench that you do when you substitute, where you just try and catch the manager's eye? Just.
You know what? It's funny now because you see.
It's true though.
You see players going out to warm up, And they always warm up with right near the corner flag.
Warm up near the manager, don't you?
So I used to do, stand right next to the manager about 5 yards away and keep staring and looking at
Feeling
him.
sharp! Feeling sharp!
That's it. That's exactly what I was doing. Get him off, boss.
Yeah.
He's having one.
Hang on a minute. Just the thing isn't about that game. That I think it's just, for some inexplicable reason, not remembered. Platty scored a goal in that game, but it was basically brilliantly carved out by a certain me.
Did you cross it in, did you? Yeah. You went 1-0 up in the game.
We went 1-0 up, and I was playing all right. It was a good cross, great finish from Platty.
It wasn't a great cross. We've just seen the
I
footage.
beg your pardon.
It was okay, at best.
It led to a goal. It was perfectly on his measured.
It wasn't a great cross, was it?
What do you mean?
It was an okay cross. It was more a better finish than the cross.
Well, he can't finish it unless the cross is accurate.
All right, so if I'm here, the goal's there, and I just pass to Alan there, and he scores.
I'm not going to sit here defending people that create goals over people that score goals.
Well, you have been for the whole series.
Platty's finish was terrific and deserves all the plaudits. But it's nice to have someone say, actually, it was a decent cross, rather than say it was not a good cross.
It was an okay cross. You said it was a great cross. It wasn't a great cross.
If it leads to a goal, it's got to be it's a cross.
Okay cross. It wasn't a great cross.
All right.
Did you know you were on your last legs international level then? I mean, did you?
I was retiring anyway, wasn't I? Because I was leaving. But I was. You know, don't you? When you start I wasn't. And I understood the substitution. I was, I felt like I might contribute, might score, and I'd done it on previous occasions. And obviously, I was choked to come off. But
looking back, though, that wasn't a good squad, really, was it?
No, we've said it before. It was probably one of the weakest England squads. We'd big players had gone like Butcher and Shilton and Brian Robson was eased out. Chris Waddle was eased out. Peter Beardsley was eased out, probably before they should have been because they were better than what we had. And then we lost Gazza and John Barnes with injury, and we had we didn't create anything. I was the only creative player in the team.
Oh my God.
That's a joke.
Yeah. How did it feel though as a big hitter to be subbed? Because that.
Well, Pete, nowadays being subs is nothing. They do it all the time, don't they? Because you get more substitution. Whether you're allowed 3 or 5. I think you only had probably 2 back then, wasn't it? At the end. When in my first part of my career, it was only 1 substitute. Yeah. And don't forget, 1966 World Cup final. You weren't allowed substitutes, and it was extra time. So the whole lot of them played. Terry didn't make any substitutes in '96. We've gone through that before, but I was gutted to come off, not because of the one behind Bobby Charlton's record or anything like that, but because we needed one more goal. At that stage, it was 1-1, and we had to win the game to go through. And at that stage, even though we were creating nothing, I always believed that I could get us a goal. But then I came off, Alan Smith came on, and I was sitting on the side, desperate for us to score still. That's all I cared about, because I'm thinking, if we get through, I think go straight into the semis back then, because there's only 8 teams in the tournament. So that's all I was on my mind. And I hadn't even thought about the fact that would be the last game. I hadn't thought about the fact about the Bobby Charlton record until it was mentioned in the press afterwards. And then I can't remember, I said some nice things about Bobby Charlton. But if somebody had told me when I was, a kid growing up that one day I'll finish 1 goal behind Bobby Charlton, I'd thought they would completely start raving mad. And as I said in a previous episode, that I think in hindsight, Graham Taylor made me a bit of a martyr because I escaped all. It's like there was similar abuse of the when England lost to Iceland. We had it was similar for us getting knocked out in that, and so everyone was getting lots of kind of criticism, but I escaped it, and it was all, he should have kept him on, he might have broken Bobby Charlton's record, he might have got us through, so it kind of did me a favour, but at the same time, I'd much sooner have stayed on. Can we move on? It's very, very pressing. Alan, you want to get the England semi-final out of the way, like I want to get that one out of the way, so let's discuss that. I mean, I know what it's like to lose a semi-final in a major tournament with England. It's devastating, isn't it? It's devastating for the supporters, but it's even worse if you're playing.
Yeah, especially with the excitement that had been created.
And they played, and it's like the same in the semi-final in '90. You played really well. The team played brilliantly.
And they were a good team, Germany. But it was a massive belief, not only from us as a squad, but I think the whole country believed that we were going to go on and win that tournament. And as you said, we played well. We got off to a decent start when I scored the goal. But then it goes to that golden goal time again.
People would like to know, and I've been asked the question many times, so I'll ask it of you. Describe your emotions at scoring a goal of that significance at the time.
Unbelievable. And it's brilliant scoring a goal, but to score a goal of that importance at that stage of the tournament against Germany at Wembley, it was immensely.
I sat in the crowd and remember the roar, but it's just that explosion of emotions, isn't it? Of joy, of relief, of
everything. The excitement. It's a wonderful feeling because we work all our life to score goals. That's our job. That's our life is to do that. So
imagine playing all your life just to stop people scoring.
It's just a good feeling, to be honest.
Do you think you get as much satisfaction out of that as a strike? I suppose you don't. It's like a thing over a period of a game, whereas a goal is a one-off moment of elation, isn't it? It's different.
Yeah, you can't replicate that. I think that's why a lot of footballers, after they retired, find it hard because how can you replicate that moment
there's
again?
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
You're trying to search for different things and whatnot, and it's just impossible.
Yeah, the winning of a big game, of a tournament, of a competition, a cup, of scoring a big goal in a big game. There's
adrenaline
nothing
rush,
in life. There's nothing.
That few seconds afterwards, it's just like it's outrageous feeling. There's nothing you can ever do that you get that back.
Yeah, I got it. You got it a bit when like Leicester won the cup or Leicester won the league. If Newcastle won, you'd have it. Yes. But actually being part of it and being involved in it yourself, it's like that times 5, times 10. It's hard to. It's a really hard thing to describe, that feeling when you do something in a big game.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling. But we always talk about that miss from Gaza, how close he was. It was that from getting on the end of that shot that I had. But we tend to forget the miss of Darren Anderton.
Oh, when he just hit the hit the post, didn't it?
He hit the post. I mean, it was almost an open goal, wasn't it? The keeper's just come across him.
It's amazing how similar that game was to the England-Germany one in the semi-final, because that obviously we played great that day. I think we edged it, and in extra time we had a similar. Chris Waddle hit the inside of the post, and I think it was Platty and myself running in. It actually bounced straight between the two, and then the penalty shootout, very similar in many ways, although you pushed it probably closer than we did. That's another thing you get asked, what's the feeling like at the end of losing a penalty shootout in a game of that magnitude?
Swallow you up the ground. That's all you want. You just want to disappear, don't you?
Yeah.
I just wanted to get away and go on holiday and forget it all. And
people say what's said after the game. There's hardly anything, is there? I remember going into the dressing room. It was silent, and there was a bit of consoling going on. Stuart Pearce was obviously broken, and just Bobby Robson going around, just patting the lads on the shoulders, and you did us proud. But it was just we were just like this.
Yeah.
For ages, and then eventually get ready, and then I've said this before, but we got on the bus after, and it was quite a long wait because you had to wait for doping and all that kind of thing, and an hour after the game, whatever it was, get a couple of beers out for the boys. Bobby Robson comes, and we had this thing throughout that tournament there where we used to have a sing-song on the way back from the games and stuff, and we sing that doe, a deer, a female, that for some strange reason, probably led by Gaza, I think. And then there's silence on the bus, and we're having a few beers, and then suddenly at the back of the bus, might be in Waddle and Gaza, and you start to hear them going, doe, a deer, a female. Then it went, and then everyone started joining, wow. And we sang that whole thing all the way through, right. And then it was mad. I mean, it was almost it made me cry. It's hard to explain why that would happen, but it did, and it was kind of a beautiful thing.
I wanted to cry the morning after the semi-final. It was that bad a hangover. It was.
Yeah, I think
I remember that feeling. We all went into the bar.
Where did you go?
Went back to our hotel.
Were you at Burnham Beaches?
Yeah, we went back to Burnham Beaches. Sat in that hotel bar
all
night. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that I got up for breakfast after an hour or two sleep, and they were still in the bar. Some of the boys. It was a good long all night, but I remember having a stinking hangover the next morning.
Fully deserved, no?
Yeah.
Fully deserved.
Right, let's bring someone that you know, something that you can probably remember. Wayne Rooney, 2004. You've got him in 9th place there. He had an astonishingly good tournament, 18-year-old kid, Everton player at the time before he went to Manchester United. Exploded onto the scene.
Yeah, we mentioned before, I don't think he's appreciated it enough, but in that tournament, it was just, if he didn't get that injury, they could have gone anywhere. It's like taking just...
Is it me, or do England just seem to have quite a bit of bad luck in these tournaments?
They do have bad luck. They do have bad luck, for sure.
Yeah,
Every time.
We've lost big players before, like not quite making it. Rooney in other tournaments, there's a big injury. There's been lots of...
Rio got injured before, was it World Cup? Or...
I suppose most countries lose a big player, but you just notice it more when it's your own country.
I think now, though, this is the thing, it's better because the strength in depth.
Yeah, this is the first time I can ever remember us having this strength in depth. Not to the degree that we have at the moment. They're young, a lot of them. They're probably, a little bit inexperienced, Alan, do you think? But
no, the talent we have now available, particularly in forward positions.
Yeah. And right backs.
Is as good as I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, the potential of like Ford, like Mount. We know what Harry Kane can do. So
you got Sterling, you got Sancho. I think Sancho
Rashford,
is a player that people don't realise how good he is because he plays in Germany and we don't see him. Bellingham, the same. He's going to be an unbelievably talented player. I've done it lots of times where you go, look at the talent you've got, and you try and list them all. You think of probably 8 or 10, and then an hour later you go, oh, I forgot him. I've got
the Rooney at a lot higher. I've got him in number 2.
I mean, he's like one of these young players that are bursting through now, isn't he? And he did at the time, and he was a revelation.
For someone to go into a major tournament at 18 years of age, by the way, and do what he did, 4 goals, in 4 games.
And then he got the injury.
And then, unfortunately, the injury. And then, I mean, he basically announced himself, and then for him to go on as England's greatest goal scorer.
I know.
That was the start of it, wasn't it, really, for him. So what a player, what a career he had. So
where do you rank him as strikers, towards
the back end of his career, he came a lot deeper, didn't he?
And he always did that. You'd see him, even in his early days, you'd see him tracking back, tackling people around the edge of his commitment was extraordinary.
Probably easier now, I say easier. You get more opportunities now because of the teams you're playing against at international.
It's a big change. That's why goal scoring ratios are massively improving in international football. Because if you say when I played or went at the start of Alan's career, you got the Soviet Union. Russia was one country. Now it's who knows how many. The breakup of Yugoslavia into 4 or 5 different countries. Lots of small, tiny little nations. Gibraltar and Andorra and all these countries that, never played in our time. So there's so many games where you can easily bag 2 or 3 goals, which is, I'm just saying it was harder in my day.
Back in the day.
But I think, when I played, if you played Turkey, you'd be thinking, that's actually a chance. That's as weak as you get. And they were really, they were a good side. Good, and they are now. They're decent footballing nation. But so that has changed to a degree. But having said that, Rooney's a great player,
magnificent,
great player, and he wasn't just a goal scorer.
No, he was a total team player as well. And I think he was one of those wherever you played him, wasn't he? He would have done a job for you, whether it was right back, centre midfield, wherever. He could do that job for you.
It was the best when I went. I think we've talked many times, maybe off camera, but when I first went to England, he was the best player by none. He was just. He had everything. I've never seen a player have everything before, and with his injuries and whatnot, it would have been because I wouldn't rate him as high as the Messi, but I think he could have done what Ronaldo could have done.
Do you think?
If he wouldn't have got the injuries and he would have looked after his body a little bit better because he's quite heavy, wouldn't it?
It's a big if, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
That's rich coming from you. Isn't it? He's got to look after his body a bit more. The party king.
Nice one, Alan.
top 10 party kings.
I'll be top.
There's one. We found another
Me and
subject
Balotelli
where we
will
have
be
to do
top.
top 10 party kings. I could think of one or two. I'll play with. We'll do that.
No,
That's
but
definitely one for the future.
I do believe he could be that. I do believe he could have been that good.
Yeah. But
Maybe not score as many goals, but like he's all round play.
he's a top player. There's no question. Absolutely top player.
top player.
Golden goal moment is that, and you've both got in a simple. Well, you both got in 8th actually. David Trezeguet, that peculiar thing, the golden goal, which is weird. I remember I was at that game. Obviously, we were covering it, being a final, and when it went in, it was like, wow, what a goal! And then, that's actually it. There's no more play, which was odd, but it was a hell of a finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if you watch that goal, what is brilliant about it is not only the finish, but the movement to get to where he did, and then have the little space, the little get there and stop, and then the to finish it off with a left foot as he did. I mean, that is not an easy finish to put that in the roof of the net at such an important time as well. So yeah, it was a great finish.
And also, didn't they equalise really, really late?
Will
in that
Tort,
game?
was it?
Will Tort, yeah, 93rd minute or something.
Brilliant.
Looked like Italy had won it. Yeah.
Just
Can you imagine that though? Someone equalising at that stage in the final of a tournament against you. It's a bit like England in '66, wasn't it? But they managed to win in extra time, whereas the Italians must have been choked on that occasion.
Devastation.
Yeah.
But that's why you got to play to the end, haven't you?
Well, yeah.
That's the.
that is very true.
I know, but it is though, isn't it? How many times you see games? Look at Man United, what they did over there. Amount of late goals they score. You switch off for 1 minute. A little bit of quality.
Yeah.
That's great punditry, that is. You've got to play to the end.
This is a podcast now. We can say we won't, can't we?
You wouldn't get away with that punditry, would you? That's why you've got to play to the end.
Yeah, Richard be mate. What are you on about?
Rich is the BBC Match of the Day editor, by the way, if you're wondering who's Rich. Yeah. Right, Panenka. Blimey, how many times have we talked about
Oh, my God.
bloody Panenkas? It just brings back such a terrible memory. It's not right. But, I mean, I suppose it has to be in there, in the memorable Euros moments, because it was so out of the blue.
You got it low, though. Where have you got it?
I've got it as 7.
Yeah, he's got it in the 7.
It's so ballsy and brave. I mean, I would think it's stupid to some extent, but I would never, something that would never even cross my mind to do it. So you've got to have big balls to do that, and he did it at that moment. Do it well.
Why do you think I'm sat like this?
To do it well, I should say. The winning pen.
I'll get up. Where do we go from there, for God's sake? Yeah. But yeah, it was. I mean, it's something. If you get your name now, it's like a Cruyff turn, isn't it, or something like? It's got to be a bit special. To get,
Yeah, but it was to win the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the last penalty of the
it's gotta
shootout.
be-
I think it was the first ever shootout, wasn't it? In a major tournament, it must have been.
What's
In a
going through your
final, anyway.
mind to do that
Yeah.
and score it. Yeah, you've got to. That's way up my list.
Yeah, very special. Wales, Alan, you've got that at 6.
Yeah.
Wales' performance in that tournament, brilliance of Gareth Bale, the quarter-final 3-1 victory over Belgium. In the end, they obviously were defeated by Portugal. But what a tournament they had.
Yeah, they had a brilliant tournament. The atmosphere that was created by their fans was superb. And that quarter-final against Belgium. Yeah. What was it? Vokes, Williams,
Robson-Kanu with that.
and Robson-Kanu with that goal.
Yeah.
Vokes getting the last one. But
He's a bit
1-0 down
He's
as
a bit
well, wasn't
unlucky, Robson-Kanu, because if Cruyff hadn't done that thing way before, it'd be called the Robson-Kanu turn.
No, it wouldn't be. Only certain players get that.
I know.
So,
Yeah.
They were 1-0 down in that game as well, weren't they, against Belgium?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Williams.
Astonishing performance, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, brilliant. So, and as I said, their fans were superb in the tournament. They generated a great atmosphere. So, I've got that as number 6.
Yeah, right. Let's go with our top 5. There's a couple we've not talked about that one of you have got and one they hasn't, but they'll be in the top 5. So, Micah, 5.
I've gone the Denmark win. I've gone Wales, Belgium, number 4. England losing to Germany. The Panenka, and then Gaza versus...
Panenka 2.
Yes.
Done talking about that. And then?
Gaza.
Dentist chair and all that
dentist
stuff,
chair and all the save and everything.
Yeah. Alan?
I've gone Platini, 5. Denmark winning 4. Gaza's goal against Scotland, 3. Rooney at 18, number 2.
On.
And 1 was England v Holland, 4-1.
Oh, that was so predictable. That was so predictable.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, perfect. Let's start with Platini. Wonderful player we've talked about before. But I think it was that semi-final game in particular.
Yeah. It was a great game, wasn't it? 3-2, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the final goal, it was the Motti commentary as much as Tigana! Tigana! Platini! Goal! Something like that. Yeah. I'd never make a commentator, that's for sure. But it was just, I think it was one of the great games in international football history, let alone just the Euros. You're way too young to remember it. I remember it really well, sitting at home watching that.
Well, that's his 9 goals, wasn't it, in that tournament, Platini?
What a footballer.
9
What a
tournament, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's why it's 5 on my list. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was 6 on yours, so very similar in many ways. But yeah, it certainly was one of the great games. Denmark. Well, they weren't in the tournament. They're probably the only team that's ever won a tournament that they've not been in.
It?
I think it's safe to say that. I suppose in many ways it was Schmeichel's tournament as much as anything else, but he was such a great goalkeeper, wasn't he? Although wasn't he at fault for one of the goals? He made a bit of a mistake.
Perhaps should have saved one.
But he was a hero of the penalty shootout in the semi-final against the Dutch 2-2, wasn't it? Couldn't see Denmark beating that Dutch team as well. That was a. I know it was on penalty.
Was it Van Basten's that he saved?
Yeah, the only penalty that was missed. Or yeah.
What
Basten of all people.
I know. What a goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel was. Great presence. But no one saw Denmark coming to that tournament and winning it. The players were on the beach.
No.
Must have got the call, said, "You're in the tournament, lads. Get yourselves ready. We're off." And then for them to go and win it.
Maybe that's a plan there. Just let your players just go on the beach and
Go
just
relax.
come up 10 minutes before, like an hour and a half before the first game. Turn up.
So let them go on the
Pub
dentist
team.
Let them go on dentist chairs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it. All the nonsense seems to play better. I don't know what it is about that.
You have to talk about Peter Schmeichel though. He's just absolute legend.
I mean, what are the chances of being a goalkeeper as good as that, and then having a son that is, who's had such an unbelievable career as well?
And now I work with Peter as well, so it's been great to see, because I always just speak to Casper about what's it like, your dad being this,
so hard.
and it's just that pressure, that added pressure that he used to have, but it didn't faze him. You know what? He works the hardest out of James up there with James Milner. But he's got such high standards, Casper. Like, even if the food's not right or training's not right or anything, and his
he's turned into his dad, though, and he looks
really
like.
has.
I mean, now you look at the pictures of Casper now and Peter, that same. It's like they're uncanny.
But if you look at his career when he went to the likes of like Notts County and he went to Leeds, isn't he? And everyone was like, "Oh, you're never going to be as good as your dad." And
he would have had that. I mean, how can you be? He's probably the greatest goalkeeper, certainly in the top 3 or 4 greatest goalkeepers of all time. But He ain't far off, you know.
You win the FA Cup,
he's
you win the Premier
won the
League.
Premier League. He's
Those saves as well.
and he's a big game player. You saw him in the tournaments with Denmark. I've seen him. He penalty shootouts, made key saves and stuff. Look at the FA Cup. That save he made in the FA Cup final from Mount,
wasn't it?
What a save! I had so much admiration for Kasper Schmeichel to do it. He even does this big star thing. Yeah.
No, he's inspirational. To be fair, mental toughness is everything. He fully deserves it. So, but it's come.
Did
from
you
his,
always,
come from,
when you were with him, did you always think he's gonna?
I was surprised when he started dropping down the leagues. He was way too good for that. Way too good. And then when I was like, I spoke to him and like, what you doing? But his thing was he always wanted to play.
Right. Let's England, Holland, Alan. I'm not surprised you picked that number one, but it was an unbelievably brilliant performance from England. It was a personal triumph for yourself, a couple of goals.
Well, I think if you looking at performances over the last 20 or 30 years, and England scored 5 against Germany, but this one is the performances that get talked about. And for me, it was the best atmosphere I played in an England shirt that night at Wembley. And you don't get it very often, but everyone had a 10 out of 10 that night, and it was just magic to be part of and to get 2, and Teddy get 2, and then Holland scoring then stopped Scotland going through to the next round. So it was just a brilliant performance and a brilliant atmosphere, and it was great to be involved in.
Yeah. What's going through your mindset though when you score? You know, like because. It's hard. People always ask me, "Oh, what was it like playing at my level?" And I never got to the levels that you guys got. But I want to know: is the mindset different for the elite? You know, when you're in them sort of games, to be able to perform at that level, because you see so many players play for England, don't you? But not really go to the top level.
You have to be mentally strong, I think. I mean, the pressure that was on us, the expectation was starting to grow, and it was a massive thing for Terry Venables to put himself up against the Dutch and the system that Terry played and how he wanted us to play.
What did he play that day?
It was like that Christmas tree, wasn't it? Where and with the relationship that I had with Teddy. So for all of that to go so well and perfect, it was. That's why it was just a brilliant night for everyone. But I mean, attitude-wise,
I think it's about at that level is the difference is the football's still the same game. You still get your chances if you move right and you do all the things that you always do that get you there. It's how you deal with it mentally, how strong, how you can cope with the pressure and the microscopic kind of probing of your performances, and everyone looks at everything that you do, and you've got to deal with a lot of negativity. Alan had his bad patch, I had bad patches, but it's how you deal with that and come out with it, isn't it, really?
So, but that's what I said. You're saying the mental side. So why do we not spend time like trying to train your brain?
Well, I think they do more nowadays, don't they? They didn't in our days. You get none of that, really.
I think a lot of work it goes on that side of the things now, mental side of things, and positive thinking, how to deal with the negatives that inevitably come along.
But I think also it's your character and your personality. I think some players, you get all the help in the world, some players won't be able to deal with not performing well. I mean, it's easy, isn't it? Sport's easy when things are going well and you're confident and you're good at what you do. The real test is when you're under the cosh and you're struggling a little bit. That's how you deal with it then. And I'm sure you can psychologically get help and therapists or whatever it is, but it's still not going to make a player that struggles in that area massively better. I mean, it's difficult. I don't know. I'm no expert in those areas at all.
I think certainly teams and good players embrace that. I think they take it on and they love to have that responsibility put on them, because there is a huge responsibility on a individual or a team to go and entertain and do what you do. And I think the very best enjoy that.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to Roberto Martinez. Obviously, he's at Belgium, and he's asking me what if there was a player going there, what would because. When Capello first come in the camp, we had obviously McLaren, didn't we? And things was, I won't say too easy, but it was too relaxed, say. And then Capello came in and it was probably too hard. And he was asking me what sort of balance, all of the football stuff he'll do, but he's talking about the downtime and do you have the families come over? So it's just, you know, going into a tournament, you just want everything to be bang on.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a conversation a week or two ago with Gareth Southgate, and he was asking, you know, about what did you do with wives and stuff. And I said, well, Bobby Robson, no, nothing was allowed. In fact, I got bollocking once in Italia 90 because Michelle, my first wife, was out there, and she kind of came and I met her around the hotel, and we got spotted. And Bobby said, no, you can't be doing that. That's not fair to everyone. But anyway, Gaza. The dentist chair, that's, you've got that third, Alan, you've got that anyway, the goal was unbelievable, the celebration was probably even better after that.
All planned.
Yeah.
I was one of the first over there to squirt the drink into his mouth.
Hang on a minute, how did that bottle get there? How was that put? Somebody must have thought about that before. That wasn't the goalkeeper's, was it? Just by chance being. It wasn't in the back of the net. It was on the side of the. How was that?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue about that. But whoever put it there, it was perfectly placed. I mean, it was
25 years I've been thinking about that question, and you've not answered it.
I can't give you an answer. Sorry.
How was the squirty bottle of water or vodka or whatever was in it by the side of that goal?
Well, if it was Gaza, it wouldn't have been water. That's for sure.
That's very true, but it was a memorable moment, and it's a perfect way to finish this episode. Thank you, chaps. So that was our trip down memory lane for some great moments in the Euros. We'll see you next time.
A huge summer of live cricket is upon us, and the Test Match Special podcast brings you the best insight and analysis from the TMS team.
That first over was incredible. That has been a 10 out of 10 performance.
With previews and reaction from the biggest games from international Test Series, One Day and T20 matchups, the 100 and County Championship cricket. Plus, there's exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
Get the opportunity to play for England, to play Test cricket, to be walking out, Kevin Pearson stood at the other end. I just couldn't stop smiling.
The Test Match Special podcast. Listen on the BBC Sounds app.